Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this, my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley as opposed to Nathan Oakley 1980, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the live chat when this show is premiering. So, I'm joined by The Plain Truth, although I haven't actually had a hello out of him as yet, and I'm hoping that this will at some point be a multicast. I'm not sure how that'll work out with me having a hangout running. I think I'll have to leave that call. We'll see how it goes, but in the meantime I'll see if I can get a hello out of Travis, and if not, you'll just see me fumbling around and setting up for the 600th show. So happy days, we've reached 600 Flat Earth Debates, and this, if you're watching it, is the uncut part, or the pre-show to show 600. And as I say, I'll just be fiddling and faffing and hopefully seeing if I can multicast with Arwin. Or if not, I'll chat to the people that are in my hangout. So as I say, we'll hopefully try and get a hello out of Travis and see if he's actually there or not. So, how you doing, Travis? Can you hear me? No, probably not. Now, because it's a Monday, I've set this show up about an hour early on account of the fact that I take my kid to a Spanish lesson and I've got to walk down, so hence it's an hour early show. And I had Arwin on earlier going, "Oh, what are you starting earlier for? I've got the early bird show." I said, well, you know, if you're going to do a consistent show, just do it. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing, just broadcast. So that's what he's now doing. So I'll plug his show. Tune into the early bird, which is on Arwin's channel. And literally as this is being recorded, his show is going out live. See if I can get hold of Anthony. Skype. Hopefully so. Let him know that we're doing the show a bit early.
Yo!
Hello! You out and about?
No, I've just got in.
Oh, okay. Because it's a Monday and Spanish and all, I'm going to run the show a little bit early, so as soon as I can get you in the hangout, I'm going to start.
Alright, give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, no worries.
Right, drop.
Bye. Okay. Let's see if we can get in on Arwin's show. Did he contact me on? Sure, he contacted me on Skype. Just put the link in there. My link. Where's Arwin's link? Oh, maybe that was Arwin's link. Let's have another go. Oh, it is Arwin's link. You're on another call. Yeah, okay, end the other call.
Oh, hey Nathan.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Very well, very well. So this is the early bird show, right?
Yes, yes, welcome.
Cool.
I saw a picture of, was it that of drunk Apollo?
Right.
That was hilarious.
On yesterday's show.
He was chugging that beer like mad. I was like, oh my God,
Well,
you're drinking
fair
like
enough.
it's Saturday night or something. But in Sunday afternoon.
Hey Nathan, have you seen this yet?
I have, yes, yes.
Have you looked at the company's website?
I'm only half paying attention because I'm setting up my show.
That's cool.
What I'm gonna
No, Arwen and I were just talking. I mean, they're talking about this cutting the cord and, wireless communications and electricity, all surface wave. Of course, it's all going to work, I guess, from refraction, but there's no mention of satellites. It's all surface around the world.
Cool. So this is going to sound really convoluted, Arwen, but I might as well explain. So this bit is being recorded for the repeat of the after show, if that makes sense. So the first debate will go out live, then the second debate will go out live, then this, which is being recorded for me right now, will go out, and then it'll replay the debate that was first live. Does that make sense? So in a minute, I don't know if it'll work, but I'm hoping I can multicast. In other words, while I'm on this call with you, I can broadcast the early bird show and you can plug the hell out of it to my audience while it's streaming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
So in a minute...
Sorry, no. Yeah, I think I get where you're going, but it's a little hard to oversee just first glance what you're actually saying. But yeah, you're going to edit this into a pre-show, I guess?
Yeah, hold on. Anthony's trying to call me. Sure. Let's see what Anthony's got to say. Let's see if you can hear him. Hey, Anthony.
That Hangout link you sent me is empty.
I know it's empty because I've joined Arwen's. I don't know if Travis is going to do the same, and that's why he was in there, and I thought he'd kind of hold that Hangout open.
All right, so just want me to wait there and stay?
It's up to you. So, Arwen, can you hear Anthony?
Yeah.
So, well, I should really let Anthony know then. You're being broadcast on Arwen's channel, so I've joined to Arwen, and he's broadcasting, so technically your conversation with me is also being broadcast. I should have said that first, really.
Okay.
Hello.
Say hello to Arwen's audience.
Afternoon, guys.
Hello.
Sorry, morning for me.
So, what are you going to do then? Do you want to just stay with me on Skype for now? And I'll start the debate, and then when Arwen finishes, we'll just jump into my Hangout, which is open.
Should I just stay on the call until you tell me to drop?
No, just stay on the call. Yeah, exactly. Till I say, can you join the Hangout that I sent you the link for, and then
cool.
I'll move over to that.
Let's talk about gravity.
I'm sorry, Arwen. I've turned your show into an administration affair for a flat debate, haven't I? My bad.
Hang on, how's that realistically going to work? Because if we're simulcasting on two channels, that's going to be a bit shit.
Well, I thought it would help Arwen and his audience, as in they'd know that the early bird show's going on, because obviously he'll be discussing it. And it'd be something interesting to do for the 600th if it works, providing everyone's cooperative. If anybody says no, I'll just go, no, okay, it's not that big a deal, I don't care. I
don't care, just as long as we know what we're doing, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing. He says famous last words.
So have I just got anything special planned for the 600?
There you go. See, Ranty's joined his Hangout.
Hey, Ranty.
Arwen's, that is.
How do?
Right, I'm going to see if I can do it then. I'll start the show and we'll see how it all goes.
Nathan, what are you going to do for the 666 show? You going to skip that number?
Well,
dedicated to Slice
me, I don't care.
No, it's going to be the missing episode, and then it's going to pop up somewhere in a few months.
Yeah.
It's going to be everyone acting all creepy and dressed up and... Sorry.
Maybe.
Hello. What?
Hey, Travis.
Hey, Travis.
I'm about to go live on my show as well, so I'm going to pop you guys on mute. Hello, Sausage. You going to come and do the intro with Daddy? Oh, have you got milkshake down you? Oh dear. Let's take that off you then. Pop it up here out of the way. Right, do you want to come and say hello? You gonna come and say hello?
Oh.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these live shows and also on my backup channel, Nathan Oakley, when this show premieres in about 2 hours' time. So be sure to look in the info box, subscribe to my second channel, Nathan Oakley, if you missed this show, which you won't be hearing because you won't be watching it, nevertheless. If you would like to join the panel, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, I am currently simulcasting with Arwin in his show and Anthony in Skype. Now, currently their show can't hear me. I've got myself on mute in their live broadcast, but I will explain that we're now broadcasting once I get them on. But I'll say hello to Anthony first. So how are you doing, Anthony?
Yo.
Good to have you. Good to have you. 600th show.
And still no evidence of ball, eh?
Yeah, no, none whatsoever, none. But there we go. I'm sure we'll get there eventually. I'll do the housekeeping once this turns into my show. So as much as I've introduced that the link will be available, at least temporarily, Arwin's show is a closed show, so you won't actually have the link available to his show. But when I move over to mine, then it will be, which will hopefully transition at some point during the show, or I might end up rounding this one out before that gets a chance. We shall see. But I'll see if I can find a gap, and I'll introduce myself into Arwin's show. Hopefully I won't disturb them too much now that we're actually live. We shall see. So I'm also joined on Arwin's show, which is called The Early Bird, by Ranty Flat Earth, Plain Truth, Jose, Eric, and of course Arwin himself. So hello to my show, and thank you for having me on yours.
Hello, Nathan. Yeah, this is very interesting. Yeah, we're joined by Nathan's hangout, I guess. We are joined by another hangout. Interesting.
Yeah. So just following up with this Tesla thing, I had a friend of mine send me a link that I haven't watched yet from StopLookThink.com. Tesla technology being revived. Is that what we're talking about?
Not that video specifically. I saw it in a post. I guess videos are coming. Which channel? Stop what?
StopLookThink.com.
Okay. Oh, it's a website. Okay. Is it a recent article or what?
Well, I got it Friday from a friend of mine. So.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we're just going through their website and just kind of looking what they're saying. Of course, they use global and all that, but yeah.
But it looks to me like they're basically applying well, what we know as a Wi-Fi system, but based on a different wavelength, electromagnetic wavelength, and that's a very smart thing to do. Although it all depends on current technology if that could be a problem, because that technology is not based on this type of thing. So it could disrupt that, potentially. It all depends on how they're going to approach it. Maybe they actually learned a way to bypass that problem.
Well, the other interesting part is, and I wonder if they're actually going to, using the ether, the first paragraph on the about is, our visive, whatever, surface wave system allows the Earth itself to be used for clean and efficient transfer of power between any 2 points on the globe wirelessly. So I wonder what they mean by the Earth. Are they? That's kind of interesting. So the system represents a paradigm shift in the science of electromagnetic.
Oh, I think I get what they're going for, because magnetic waves are technically not like absorbed by rock. They can transcend everything. So maybe they're suggesting they're just beaming it right through the Earth to the other side. It's going to be a bit complicated when there's a molten iron magnetic core spinning in the way. But yeah, Maybe they're just.
Are they suggesting that I could?
Maybe they are already. I think these guys are really smart, and I think they already know what's going on.
What are
and
they?
How the paradigm is going to shift. I think they probably have already adapted to like a future narrative where the multiple.
So do you think? Let me just ask. So you think this is suggesting that they can beam electricity and or telecommunication waves like through a mountain range from one city to the next?
Yeah. Unless it is highly magnetized rock. Unless there is a magnetic disruption, then it can beam through anything. Hello, MC.
This is interesting. The first sentence just really has a lot of vague, interesting, allows the earth itself. Not saying the atmosphere. Not saying, I don't know, I mean,
Right. Well, maybe they suggest that the earth is used as a conduit. I don't know, but to me, it's kind of obvious they're suggesting they literally can beam it through anything. So mountain ranges won't be an obstacle, and they could potentially just beam it right through the ball Earth if somebody needs to imagine that it would be a ball. See?
Well, here's another thing. This is currently our research and commercialization efforts are focused on energy transfer and communications, but this is the important part, but we recognize that this technology has the potential to impact numerous sectors of the economy. So it's good and, but a lot of job displacement and...
well, it will impact a huge market.
Yeah.
And all the scams in these markets. And
just think of all the wiring.
Exploits, they will all be weakened. Is exactly what the legend of Tesla is all about. So, yeah, they're going to have to get some serious green light go. And some support, wide support, or a uniform plan for the energy industry to transit that they've been ordered by the elite, or they're just saying like, look, you know what, we can still make a profit this way and it'll be much more efficient, much less stressful. It'll work out. Because that's what the elites, the controllers, the power hungry really care about, that they keep some level of control. They don't mind progress as long as they don't lose their grip in the process. So maybe this is just like, okay, we're gonna go a step forward. We're gonna try this now, and we think we can control it, basically. So interesting and good. I'm very happy about it. I hate Wi-Fi and all that shit. It affects me very badly. I'm sensitive to that stuff, so I'd be very happy if a system based on this would replace that.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's another thing. They said this wireless power system will employ a, quote, transmitter probe. Transmitters usually are stationary. What do you think they mean by a probe? Probe implies like...
Well, maybe they're going to dig down.
Huh. A transmitter probe located near a power generation plant. That's another, like, what, coal, steam, nuclear, I don't know, wind?
Right. Yeah, it's going to have, yeah. Like the electricity doesn't come out of nothing. It still has to be generated. But it is so much more efficient than using power lines and such. So much more efficient. So if this is going to work out, then it will inevitably be followed up by using it for regular power as well, because it'll save so much cost.
You know, but for these shouldn't these globers start seeing the writing on the wall? Like, you know, they're all into science and tech, and yet, I mean, look at this stuff. There's nothing about orbital mechanics, and this.
Yeah, but it doesn't need it. I just told you.
I know, but
it can beam through the Earth. It doesn't need to be brought up. Very simple.
So, Arwin, in about 5 minutes, about past, I'm going to drop from this hangout and disappear. But while you've got the ear of my audience, you might as well plug the Early Bird Show. So explain what this show is.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. The Early Bird Show. This is episode 5 now. It's an open panel, but only to people that I trust, although I have no control over who you bring with you on Skype. So it's basically a Google Hangouts based, very basic system. I get in people basically by invite. You have to add me on Skype. And if I deem it trustworthy, I will give you the link through Skype. And yeah, it's an open show. It's not really a debate show. It's just an open-minded, early morning talk what's on your heart or on your mind or what have you dreamt about show, basically. So yeah, an early breakfast show. That's how I really regard this, where we can just sit together and just have good conversations. And
you got to work on that byline a little bit.
Sorry?
I said you got to work on your byline a little bit. Get that pitch sharpened up.
I didn't get that. Sorry.
Yeah, he's saying you should have crafted a spiel better.
You might want to turn Travis up.
Oh, you mean a better riddle?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not. I'll never be as good as Nathan is in his intro.
Oh, thank you, Alvin.
But you're so disciplined. It's like a perfect tape, and you even have like improvisation. So you made an art out of it.
Sounded good to me.
I just improvise basically everything, almost everything.
You're a better wizard, Arwin. You're a better wizard. Nathan is just a magician.
Yeah, but my magic lies in my improvisation, not in my repetitiveness.
So can you spell the name of your channel so that people can search for it?
Flat Earth Early Bird.
No, the channel.
Oh, my channel name is Arwin. ARWIJN, and you'll recognize me by my tree icon these days.
Cool.
And yeah, please subscribe to my channel. You can also find me, of course, on the Flat Earth debates, where I join regularly on the panel, like a plague to some. And yeah, I now do this early bird show 1 hour before the debate standard, which would be 2 o'clock GMT +1 or Amsterdam time, and I think it's 1 o'clock British time.
That's correct.
Right, so 1 o'clock British time pretty much every day, unless something happens and I'm delayed or anything, but that's the plan. I'm going to do that every day and see how it goes.
Excellent stuff. Well, I can tell you straight away that Anthony and I are spoiling for a row. I can feel it. So I'm going to leave you guys to it. And yeah, so Anthony, you still there? Timing, beautiful timing.
I am. I was on mute.
Oh, good. Thank God. Great. Hopefully you and I can have a bit of a chat while I transition across and do a few things and set up our hangout and leave our wins, etc.
I don't know. Does that mean that I've got to fill the gap because you can't do two things at once?
Basically.
Right. Okay. So then I guess what we'll talk about is whilst you're setting up the show, and I hope you do it quickly so I don't have loads of time to fill. But I'm going to mention Miles Davis's video because it's piqued my interest a little bit, mainly because he said that he'll become a flat earther if we can show how it's possible on a plane, which that makes it interesting for me. And also, I'm going to be talking about Slice Barkane's most recent challenge to Jeren, otherwise known as a burden of proof reversal, and basically falsely representing the position of the assertion currently on the table by Paul Earth. So there's plenty that we can talk about that's on topic, and I'm keen to get going with screen share. I don't know whether you shut down that previous channel, that previous hangout, but I couldn't get into it once I'd left it accidentally.
No, it does seem like, unfortunately, I'm going to have to set up a new one, which is annoying because I've shared it. But if you can give me another 30 seconds and hopefully fill.
Cool. Well, I'm just in the middle of responding to a Miles Davis comment that I've got a bit of a back and forth on, and I think mistakes might have been made on Miles's count. I might be wrong, but he claimed that the mountains in the background were 500 meters tall, greater than, and I don't think they are. I think he's seen down to 350 meters, not 500 as he claims. I think he's perhaps misidentified something. I'm not quite sure how, but I might be wrong, but I'm just trying to see if we can get a consensus. And when we get into the Hangout, I'll screen share and I'll show you what I mean. I know Miles won't be watching because he's trying to claim that you're the best dad of the year again for Smackgate. So he's using that as a reason not to come in. So we'll not get a chance to see him, but I'll show at least where I'm thinking in terms of what we think we're looking at. So go on, Nathan, get the link sorted.
Okay, I've got the link sorted now, so I can send you this and you can drop from the Skype call if I can just get into bit that lets me talk to you. There we go. Where's the there. Normally gives me like a little speech bubble to send you a message. I hate Skype now, they've changed it.
Yeah, they've changed it again. Like in the last couple of days, isn't it? They've like got the screen share button now within a menu.
There? How do I actually get your speech bubble to send you a message? Oh, there it is.
Yay!
There you go.
Right, I'll drop and join
the Hangout.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm all pretty much set up now, which is great. Just need to share my. If I can find my mouse. Hey, Anthony. I think I've got you on mute just for a second, just because it was the other Hangout. Just give me a sec. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Excellent. We're all rocking and rolling. This is a new Hangout that I can share and get people in on. Did you want to screen share?
Yeah. Finishing off this message to him. Right. So screen share that one. So where I'm at with Miles at the minute, he's done. Miles lacks conciseness, you know. He's responding to me. I asked him a couple of questions, and he's managed to rack off a 30-minute video. Come on, Miles, just answer the question. That's all we need. It was like 3 minutes of a job. Anyway, what his position is that this is impossible on a ball Earth, right? And the only reason why I'm interested in this is because he claims that. Let's just go back to the original video because this is quite. This is why I'm interested. He says, sadly, I can't afford to offer a big prize like Wolfie. Well, Wolfie's not actually a big prize. I'd be quite disappointed if I won Wolfie. But let's just be. He says, if anyone can do it, I will delete all my video content and become a flat earther. Well, for that reason, I'm quite interested because I would love to have a pint with Miles at the pub at St. Bees, looking at the flashing lighthouse that we shouldn't see over the curve of the earth. So I'm interested in it because of that claim, and obviously, if we can show what's happening in this claim of an impossible picture of a flat Earth, which would be this point.
Can you make it big, please?
Yeah, so let's find the other bit. He's put. I'll make it bigger in a sec. This is the bit that I'm interested in. So he claims his camera height's 210 meters, right? And that's an issue of debate because he hasn't really provided his GPS positions, right? And when we do stuff, if we don't provide GPS, the amount of hassle we get for not doing that, and when he fails to do the same thing that he criticizes others for, it seems a little bit hypocritical. It's like, well, he didn't get GPS. Well, how do we know that you actually took these pictures where you claim? And he's got a 360-degree video, which is, fair enough, but he criticizes us when we don't get these things that he demands, right? And now he does it himself. And I just think it's a little bit unfair, given that he knows the standard, because he's told us about it time after time after time. But anyway, he claims he's at 210 meters, right? This stanchion, this vertical stanchion, is what he's focusing on because it's supposed to be at the same height that he's at as well. But he's got this claim that the height of the hill is 413 meters. Well, on his previous video, he'd said that it was greater than 500 because we had the comment about whether greater than, less than symbol. But he's now dropped it to 413 meters. But prior to him doing this, he's now obviously claiming it's impossible if the Earth's flat. Well, what I've done is, if you notice on the far right-hand side of the picture, there's two turbines. They're only just in the picture. On the other picture that he showed, that there's these two turbines. So what I've done is, because I've peaked my ears a little bit, I've paid attention to what we can see in the image. And I've realized that the turbines that he's looking at are these little turbines here. There's this little wind farm that's on the top here. So obviously the far left one and the one next to it are these two. And if I follow the line back, we should be able to see that this passes just to the right-hand side of the bridge. Feels a bit like Mackle Lighthouse. So we can see that the line travels just to the right-hand side of the third vertical. And like 1, 2, there's the third vertical. It's just to the right-hand side. So I'm going to say that I've correctly identified these turbines. Now, on the basis that I have correctly identified them, then it should stand the case that when we line up with the very, very middle of this, which is what this red line is, it's not quite perfectly middle, but it's close as damn it, that would indicate that we're looking at this area that's immediately behind here. And if we know how far the maximum distance he's seeing there, then it stands to reason that he's probably seeing the same distance there, give or take a couple of meters or so. So what I did was I went back over to here, and I found that this hill that these turbines were on is basically next to this hill that these the turbines are next to, but the highest point is this bit here, because this bit's higher. If I showed the elevation profile on this, so I've got the longer. This line's far too long because of its. So basically, the highest, he's not going to see any further than that because that's the highest point. If he could see further, he would see that. But the difference between 363 and 349 meters is not that much anyway. And from that distance he's at, I don't think he's going to be seeing, I don't think there will be much difference between the two if he could see that far, but he's not seeing that far. He's seeing as far as the turbines, which puts his highest point that he can possibly see at 349 meters, according to this. So when we zoom in and we see what this relates to, it relates to this mound that's here. You can see the red arrow. So when we move into this, we can basically, this has got an average height of about 320, 300 and something, 320 odd meters, which is what he's working in. And then, so what I did was I noticed that was next to Buckyburn Reservoir. So then what I did was I went onto the Ordnance Survey maps and I found there's the Buckyburn Reservoir, I think. That's the reservoir. So he's looking at this area of Cragnet Hill and Dundorf Hill, and he's looking at somewhere in between these two because that's where the turbines are. So he's looking at about 350. So it's either the peak of that one and or the peak of this one, and that's the highest. That's as far as he's seen, and that's the highest he's seen at 350. So when we go back to his video, we see that he's claiming that the height of the hill is 413. Well, that's down from in excess of 500. He's down to 413, and actually it's down to nearer to 350. So if the height that we're looking at on this horizon is actually 350 feet, give or take a few feet for the height that he's at, we've not got a lot to play around with there to bring this down, because this is only 210 feet. We're at 350. Then his height becomes important, because what's going to happen is that as he's basically up or down relative to the horizon, this is going to parallax this stanchion vertically up or down depending on where he is. So basically, if he was to drop his position, drop his elevation, that's going to rise. That's parallax. If he's going to rise his elevation as high as he can possibly go, that's going to bring it down. The question is, to what extent? What's the scale involved here over such a long distance? Well, we know that this is 30 miles away, and we know that he's seen about 45 to 50 miles away with regards to the horizon. So it's like it's just over half. So there's a seesaw effect that's going to be happening. And I don't know how critical it is because I don't know what the scale involved is. But basically, if we're down to 300, what was it? 300, I think it was about 320, I think it said. And we need to get it down to about 210. That's about 100 meters in difference. But there's a seesaw effect. Now, I remind myself, there's a seesaw effect with parallax. Now, I remind myself of what we saw in, let's do it on this one, the infamous Skunk Bay footage. So for the purposes of everybody that's not actually familiar with it, I'll play it and show it anyway. What we see with, favorites, Skunk Bay. So what we see on the Skunk Bay footage is that we have this thing in the foreground that's shimmering, but it's acting independently to the thing in the background that's shimmering. And you can see that the horizon's physically rising and dropping over the whole day relative to this thing in the foreground, so that we can see that there's an independent relationship between something in the middle ground, in this case I'll say the bridge, something in the background, I'll say the mountain, And I don't know why, and I'm not gonna suggest that I know it. I don't. All I'm saying is that you can see that this moves up and down relative to this. Don't know why, it just does. And I'm going to say that this is not that different to what we're looking at with Miles's thing, in that this could be the bridge in the foreground, and that's stretching and shrinking a little bit, and the thing in the background is stretching and shrinking a little bit. And yeah, sure, we could use the blanket term refraction, but ultimately there seems to be an independent relationship between the two objects. Now, if it's the same thing with Miles's, if he was to take snapshots throughout the whole day, I'm pretty certain that the top of that stanchion, the bridge stanchion that he's looking at, will move up and down, and the horizon in the background will also move up and down, and it'll move independently of each other. So basically, there's times when the horizon will be lower and the stanchion will be higher, and there's times when the stanchion will be lower and the horizon will be higher. And what that ultimately will do is create the perception that we're on a wave. Now, obviously, it is somewhat to do with the way the light's traveling through the sky, but I think we can all see that there is an independent relationship between something in the middle ground and something in the background. And the only thing that I can think of in terms of that so far is that Miles is literally watching he's got one frame of the whole day, and it seems to support his assertion that this is impossible on a flat plane. Well, we know that it is a flat plane, so we know that there is an explanation for it, and he's challenged us to explain this on a flat Earth. Sure, this is possible. Well, of course, this is exactly how it's possible. Miles claims that he'll become a flat earther if it can be demonstrated that it's explained, and I think that this is the explanation. We were seeing that the one frame that he's got through the whole day is one that just happens to lend itself a little bit towards the idea that it might be a ball. But even if you take the perception that it's a ball, it's not consistent with a ball, because it would be basically the mountains in the background, I would argue, would pretty much be gone behind the curve because of how far away they are, how small they should be, and the amount of drop that there should be relative to the claim, the curvature, which I haven't actually checked, but nonetheless, they're that far away that you shouldn't really see them if we were on a sphere. So we're left with one other point now, and I'm trying to remember what my point was. I think I might have lost it. It might have gone. Oh, yeah, so my current position is with Miles. I've asked him to, let me just pause that. I've asked him to explain what hill he thinks this is behind, because I'm pretty certain I've got the right hill, and it seems to be basically the same height as what the ones where the turbines are. So if we're down to 350 and the camera's at 210, I'm just going to say that it's a little bit of atmospherics, and it would compensate both ways, because there is an independent relationship between the thing in the middle ground and the thing in the background. Skunk Bay demonstrates it, and I just don't really see how it's anything to prove a ball Earth, and he shouldn't put his channel on it. But I think that's on the basis that he's done that. I think I've pretty much explained that. Well, this kind of does show how it works on a flat plane, Miles. So pass us your password, mate. I'll delete your channel for you.
Anthony, would you be able to do me a quick measurement from that Trappane law observation to the actual turbines, how far it actually is?
I've done it.
How far is it?
Well, that's the turbine there, and from where he says he was, which it's difficult to know exactly where it is because, well, he hasn't got his GPS, has he? And he criticises us to death. So he wasn't actually there. I've done it from the peak of it, but it's difficult to know how far down this is because you can't see the gradient, so you can't.
Can you just give me a rough idea as to how many miles you think it is between his observation and the actual turbines?
The turbines is 130 miles. That can't be right.
Can you share? You might as well show us what you're doing.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's the other one, isn't it? So it must be. Yeah, hang on. Miles. Screen share. Oh, did I knock it off?
I don't know. It's not on now. It's got your swinging warrior.
Okay, so we're back on now. So the distance to the turbines is.
Hey, Jim. Vegan Goy.
It says 53.7 miles.
Get that
okay, so let me just do one minute. Right, so let's 53.1.
53.7.
53.7. And if I do an elevation of 0, so it's a straight line of sight between the turbines and the hills, there is hidden 1,922 feet. If I do it in metric, hidden is 516 meters. So essentially between his observation and those turbines, there should be a hidden of 586. Now, the turbines are only on a hill of what, 300 feet?
I can tell you precisely. Hang on. And I've checked this on Ordnance Survey. Do you know what's funny? Given all the debacle that happened on the Isle of Man thing, and yeah, okay, I accept that the Isle of Man was inaccurate, but on this one, it's basically right. It's accurate, and it's like, that's weird.
Right. Okay. Well, a straight line of sight between the two, there should be over 500 meters of curve, 586 meters of curvature between the turbines and his observation point. Never mind on what land, how high up he is. Literally just a straight line of sight. So
about 320 meters it sits on.
Okay, so how come we're seeing them when there should be 580 feet of drop?
Well, isn't it because you've not compensated for his elevation he's at?
Makes no difference. It's a straight line of sight between the two. You're both at the same height. You are both literally at the same height. So between the two, there should be 586 meters of drop. And yet you're seeing the other hill that's only 300 odd feet high, meters high.
So what you're saying is if it was an arc that we're seeing and a curve,
yeah, it
should have dropped.
Yes, even over that 53.3 miles, that hill would not be able to be seen. Never mind the parallax between the actual stanchion on the bridge. The fact those turbines shouldn't be seen.
Do you want to put that on screen so we can see it?
Well, my Google Earth isn't working at the minute.
Google.
If you type it into just Metabunk, if you just type in 53.8 miles distance and the view height is 0, so it's just a straight line of sight according to him.
So what was that? The eye height of what? 0?
Yeah, just put a viewer height of 0 because we're looking.
Distance, what was it?
53.7. 53.7, yeah.
Hidden height should be 2,000 feet. So if we pick that height, the eye height up. Thanks, mommy. The eye height he claims he was at. Wasn't he claiming he was at? I can't believe the accuracy on this. It's like there was such a big deal over the accuracy, and on this one, it's accurate. All right, 200 meters. I think that needs to be in feet, doesn't it? So we've got 680-ish, 650 for 10 meters. He said he was a little bit below.
Yeah.
Target hidden height, 300 feet. It's still saying that you shouldn't see them at 300 feet. They should be 300 feet behind the curve of the Earth. Have we got this wrong here? What's going on? Ranty? Nathan?
Yeah.
Are you seeing this?
Yeah.
So that if the eye height at 650 feet is what he's at roughly, and then the target distance is to 53.7, let's just check that and make sure that was right. 53.7 miles. According to the Earth curve calculator, you shouldn't see them at all anyway.
You there still, Anthony?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, do you happen to know the height of the turbines as well?
Hang on, Ranty, did you hear what I just said?
No, I just had to think out for a sec. Go on.
If he's at 650 feet in height and he's got a target distance of 53.7 miles to the turbines,
yeah,
according to that, they should be 336 feet behind the curve of the Earth anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back. Let's go back to the his claim. So that turbine should be behind the curve of the Earth, like I said. You shouldn't see these mountains in the background if we were on a sphere at all. And I think the reason why we're seeing them, regardless of whether the Earth's flat or round or whatever, is because basically there's no curve. So forget about that. I think the issue with this is the fact that we see these turbines and they should be behind the curve of the Earth. Miles, answer this question. You claim that this is impossible on a flat Earth. Isn't this also impossible on a sphere? Because by the curve calcs, these turbines should be gone if we assume the fact that we live on a sphere.
If we had a height of those turbines, we could actually measure the height of the hill that it's sat on and sort of like piece them underneath each other to get how high we're seeing of that mountain.
What I'm going to do?
If we can find the actual turbines and what make and model they are and how high they are.
Forget how high they are, the fact that we see the land. That horizon should be behind the curve of the Earth. What I'll do is, whilst we're live, I will go back to Miles's channel. Miles the Liar Davis, Flat Earth.
You've actually got it in as well, Miles the Liar Davis.
Miles Davis, there we go. Videos. So the last video that I gave to him was, or the last comment I gave to him was, and let's see if he's replied. Not yet. Oh, maybe he has. I wish people wouldn't pollute the thing when I'm trying to have a back and forth with him. I told you I'm busy bullshitting on Nathan. I'm told that you're busy bullshitting on Nathan's again. If you want to get to the truth, go onto my channel for a hangout. No, Miles. Let's just do this properly. Miles, according to the proper Earth curve calculator. Oops. Calculator. The turbines we see far right are, let's have the numbers, 650 feet high. No, he's 650 feet high, and the target, but the base of them is 53. So 650 feet, 650 and 53.7. 650, 650, and 53.7 miles. So sat on a height of 650 feet. Oh no, he's at that height, isn't he? The turbines, right? Okay, so turbines we see far right are 53.7 miles away, and you are at about 650 feet, give or take. They should not be seen, because they should be behind, and it was 336 feet of Earth curve. 336. 336 feet of the curvature of the Earth. Can you explain this, please?
You actually read it in full rather than the disjointed reading it out.
According to the proper Earth curve calculator, and what I'll do is the Dizzy, so he knows that I'm on about the DizZib GitHub. I'll put GitHub. GitHub. According to the proper Earth curve calculator, GitHub, the turbines we see far right are 53.7 miles away, and you are about 650 feet, give or take. They should not be seen because they should be behind 336 feet of the curvature of the Earth. Can you explain this, please? I think you might be losing your content, and your pint is on order. So,
jolly good.
Yeah, so anyway, so that deals with Miles Davis for now. Alternatively, we do have another opposing bit of nonsense from Slice Barcane. I don't think we need to go to his channel. What he's basically doing is he's challenging Jared to explain how the stars work on a flat plane. Now, obviously, we don't know how the stars work on a flat plane because we don't know where the land masses are relative to this so-called south rotation point. We see a rotation point in the sky, and they tell us it's south, and I'd like to know how, because Sly claims, and this is what you like, all the flat earthers need to be aware of this, because Sly's getting more and more subs now, which is great, because he can now start throwing his weight around, and we can start throwing it back in his face. He's basically trying to reverse the burden of proof against us for an assertion that hasn't been made in the first place. He wants us to explain the stars, the rotation points in the sky, in the south of the sky or whatever, but he hasn't proven that they are south. He hasn't proven that they are antipode. He hasn't proven that the opposite position is under your ass if you were stood down there looking at these rotation points that they tell us are south. And the reason why that's important is because you need to have 2 observers, preferably one in Australia, which he's got, and you need somebody in like Peru, Chile, Argentina, somewhere in South America, and they've both got to look exactly south if we live on a sphere. Now, if they both look south and see the same rotation point, I think I'd be on your side of the fence, because that would mean that we must live on a sphere, in my opinion. Possibly not. There might be reasons why it's not.
What,
but
if you
could
beg
both
the question?
look south...
Hold on. The only way this proves veracity is if you beg the question and use a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent.
Yeah, but if I was on their side, I would use that argument against you and say, well, what else can you do?
What, if really... I beg the question, assume the Earth is a sphere, and then reference these particular stars that are above your head as being below your arse, well, no, I'd just say, no, I'm not going to beg the question and assume we're on a sphere, for your example. There's the stars, they're above my head. If I go over there, they're still above my head. What makes you think you can beg the question, assume are, and tell me that I'm suddenly antipode when I travel to Australia? No, you don't get to beg the question. Now, if you're saying, well, if I allow them to beg the question, assume we're on a sphere, and then say that given we're on a sphere and we look south, which is down compared to where I am now, I wouldn't allow any of that nonsense. So I'm sorry, I'll just debunk this in a heartbeat and say, okay, Sly, what's your assertion based on these star rotations? Let's see if you can prove the sphere without begging the question and assuming are, and formulating a logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. That fallacy would be, if the Earth is a sphere, we will observe southern rotation, etc., etc., etc. We observe southern rotation, therefore the Earth is a sphere. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P.
Well, I don't mind them begging the question for the sake of the discussion. I accept that it is an affirming. I accept that, Nathan, I do. However, if they were to show that there is a rotation point for 2 observers at south, and when I say south, I mean opposite north. I mean the 180 degrees opposite what they tell us is north. But they can't do that. That evidence doesn't exist, and it's been missing for ages. I've been asking for it for years, and the reason have realised. None of the ballers have realised that evidence is missing. And I'm just getting a bit of feedback. It's gone now. None of the ballers realise that missing evidence is missing, and because of that, it makes them all think that it's just accepted or there, and it's not acceptable. You guys need to prove, before you ask us for anything, you guys need to prove that the thing that you're looking at, that rotation point in the sky, is opposite north. Antipode is the second part of it, but let's just establish that it is the opposing point, because the minute you try and do that, you're going to come across problems, and you have to address how you're going to deal with declination, because there's only a couple of ways to establish north. Compass is the most common one, and if that's the case, you've got to address declination. Okay, you might be able to find north in other ways, but you need to prove that the point that you're looking at is south, and it's the same south as the other guy's seen in his position. It's not acceptable to say, well, by virtue of the fact that it's a pole, that makes it south. No, because that works for us. We can say the same thing. We can say, well, we're all looking south, and that's south for us on a flat plane. We just don't know what the orientation of the land is. So you guys have got to show that what you're claiming is actually what you say it is, not just claim it like Conspiracy Cats does and think that it's acceptable. Show that it's true. Right. Show that what you're looking at is actually opposite, and then we've got to deal with antipodal status, which is
I would say that was first. First, prove R. That's first and foremost. Prove the sphere bit. Don't just assume the sphere bit. Prove that bit first. Don't just say if we're on a sphere and assume that we're going to accept and tolerate your begging the question. We're not.
Yeah, but Nathan, if you do it that easily, there's no debate.
Well, there is no debate. Every single argument that tries to prove the sphere starts by assuming you're on a sphere.
I know, but if we don't allow them to do that, you haven't got a show.
No, they haven't got an argument. It's not that I won't have a show. There'll always be some tosspot that thinks he can come along and tell us that I'm wrong and that he should be able to beg the question. That's never going to change. Nothing's going to change in the next 10 years in terms of the flat earth paradigm. There will be a religious zealot that thinks we're wrong, because there'll be 2 shows that roll by where we happen to not mention in great detail why we have the housekeeping questions. And one of those questions is prove R.
Yeah, you are right. I do agree with you. I also realize that it narrows it. It's like with the application of the scientific method, it's that narrow that everything that these guys are doing is basically some form of technology, or otherwise it's not actually science, but they all believe it is because somebody like the Rumpus has told them that the whole body is science, Nathan. And when it comes down to it, there's none of it science. And the stuff that they tell us is science doesn't prove what they think it proves.
Hey, Jose.
So it's like, it's a case of just proving that the assertion that Slide makes in the first place is actually true. So don't be trying to reverse the burden of proof against us. We don't know what the shape of the land masses are. We don't know the orientations and the locations of them relative to us. If we did, then we would have a map. But remember, we haven't got $52 million a day budget for this kind of nonsense. You've had 2,000 years and a shed load of cash. And I think it's a foul. So let's be clear, Sly. Before you ask us for anything, you need to prove your assertion is true. The rotation points, you need to show that they're opposite north, and you haven't got an easy way that's provable to show that they are opposite, 180 degrees opposite, and both for the same observers doing the same thing at the same south point that you're looking at. And obviously, then you've got to show that it's underneath your ass, the antipodal bit. So don't point to the horizon when you're pointing south. Point underneath your ass, because that's really what you've got to do. Prove that that point underneath your ass is south.
Right on. Prove R. And with that, we're going to round out for a short break. So I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and sharing this debate. This actually gets replayed, so once the next show finishes live, this show will be replayed with a live chat on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley. So if you click the link in the info box below this video, you'll find your way to my second channel, where if you're a late riser and you're only just catching the ending of this show, you can see it replayed in about an hour's time. So once again, I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
So this is going to be a little bit weird because I'm now going to do effectively a roundup at the end of this stream that goes out in an hour's time, but I'm actually going to be saying hello to you all because you've all just joined from the early bird show that was at the beginning of this show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I'll get into a routine eventually, hopefully, and I'll get this down, but you know, like I say, what we're saying now will actually get out to an audience in about 2 hours' time, because obviously the live show's ended. This bit's still recording for a minute or two just while I, you know, thank you lot and say hello. Then I'll end that recording, and then while I start the next live show, I've got to get that one out. It's a lot of complicated work, but I think it seems to be working. It's certainly increasing the audience, which is all I really want.
I'm not good at lying, but I'll try.
Not good at what?
At lying. We're being deceiving, you know. We're talking about the beginning of a show at the end.
I know. Yes, exactly. It's all
I know what's going on. I'm not confused.
You're putting more weight on your shoulders, Nathan, to do these little productions better and better. But it's okay. I mean, it's you, not me, you know.
Jose, you forgot to tell me. You forgot to remind me yesterday with the conspiracy flaps.
Yeah, sorry. What was it? The point you were going to bring?
One of the things that he was doing was saying that the stars, when they get the Polaris, when it gets close to the horizon, well, he claims that Polaris moves at a set constant, and it doesn't. It slows down as it gets to the horizon. We don't know what it does at the North Pole because no one's ever got there. But when it gets towards the horizon, it slows down. Now that's consistent with convergence on a plane. It's not consistent with the constant speed of going around the Earth's the Earth's latitude. And the reason why that's important is because with your light, when you did the supermarket floor, you demonstrated that the light will disappear at the horizon.
Yeah, true.
Which was a fucking really strong point. I don't know if you realize how strong that point actually is.
It is strong. I mean, as I say, the day after this point was presented in the Nathan, I went to the gem Discord, and it was the freaking I mean, it was everything stirred up and everything was agitated and yelling like, "How dare you saying the things disappeared in that rate and this?" I said, "Dude, it's in the video. I just took the video."
Got a
And,
sniper.
you
Did
know,
anybody
and
pick
they
up
were
that sniper?
just angry about it
Oh, shit.
because they could not accept
Got a sniper.
it.
Sniper.
I'm just
Did
taking
anybody
footage.
pick up that sniper that joined and dropped?
Arwin, have you got it open?
I've got a sniper that follows me around all
one?
my
Billy was it?
everywhere I go.
Hold on,
Joseph.
Goy. Did anybody get
Billy
that
was
sniper?
No, not Billy.
No, not me.
Not
I
Billy.
think it's Joseph.
Billy,
was
have
it?
you only just joined?
Yeah.
Somebody joined
Hey,
and dropped.
Event Horizon, are you here?
That's a full panel if that's Event Horizon. So, unless there's still a sniper in the back chat, hopefully
No, I
that'll
don't
resolve
see
the
one.
problem.
Afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing?
Very well, good.
I've heard a rumour about you.
Right, so while they're having their little chat, we've got a full panel. I may as well round out this recording and say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of this recorded audience, the people who are watching on Nathan Oakley on the premiere. Thank you very much for joining. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. I hope you enjoyed the show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!